Hello, everyone. My name is Abdullah Al-Amir. I hold a PhD from UNSW, Sydney, Australia. I am interested in studying second language motivation and student psychology in general. I apply advanced quantitative methods to understand the association between different variables. Today, I want to discuss with you the issue related to the predictive ambiguity of second language grit by introducing a new concept called autonomous single language interest. But before we dive in, I wanted to share with you a happy email I received 3 days before recording this presentation. What? It is an acceptance letter from Applied Linguistics. Yes, I am pleased to announce that a research paper has been accepted to be published in the #1 journal in our field, Applied Linguistics. The topic should be relevant to the audience, and I hope you will enjoy it. Now, let's get back to business. As you may be familiar with the grit, the theory postulates that two constructs, perseverance of effort, PE, and consistency of interest, CI, are predictors of success in different life domains. Our focus will be about consistency of interest, or CI for short. CI is defined as individuals' stable interests in the long-term perspective, despite challenges and setbacks, as defined by Duckworth et al. 2007. Interestingly, research findings in the second language domain reveal weak or even negative predictive power of CI for language-related outcomes. For instance, Taimuri et al. 2020 have shown that general domain CI did not correlate with second language scores in grammar, speaking, laboratory, GBA, and self-report about English levels. Nor did the domain-specific CI correlate with any of the above mentioned outcomes. None. This is weird, isn't it? My study, which has been published in Educational Psychology in 2021, has also generated similar finding. But this study shows the failure of CI to predict future second language achievement. Indeed, the path coefficient was in the negative direction, thought weak in size, -0.06. Similarly, Sodinia et al. 2020 showed that CI was negatively and significantly linked with second language achievement in the ESL context, -0.45, which reflects moderate effect size indeed. And CI was unrelated to achievement among EFL learners, -0.07. There are other studies that came to similar conclusions, but to save time, I presented some of them only. But these results are puzzling. How a construct that assumes to positively predict achievement doesn't live up to the expectation, right? So what to do? If we take a closer look at CI, we can see that two aspects can be improved or refined. The first is specifying the number of interest students hold while studying the language. And the second is considering how second language students formulate their interest in the language study. I believe that these two aspects appear to be missing in the basic form of CI. As such, a refined concept is introduced: autonomous single language interest, ASLI, or maybe if you want to call it ASLI. Actually, ASLI is an Arabic word. So ASLI or ASLI postulate that language students who have one autonomous language interest during their study, for example, during the university setting, would achieve the language more successfully than those who have multiple language and related interests or goals beside their language study. So this is ACLI. So a new scale was developed to assess the extent to which students maintain a clear focus on their language learning over time. The SLI scale has 6 items in a yes-no format. 3 items are negatively worded. The scale was subjected to face validity before the main study was conducted by 2 experts in the language learning domain. Participants who responded yes to the positively worded items should have clear SLI, while those who selected no have no SLI during language study. To understand whether the SLI or the single language interest is autonomous, I relied on an independent scale, as I will show in the next slide. So additional measures were used to fully understand the whole picture. The first additional measure is a student's autonomous versus controlled outlook of their language interests. For example, whether students have their interest in the language because they enjoy it or because they are derived by external rewards or pressure. This measure assessed at time 2 only. The outcome was a student's reading competency, academic writing, and vocabulary knowledge collectively. The 3 skills were taken from the Unlock English language course developed by the University of Cambridge. In addition, in the analysis, I controlled for students' language placement test at time 1, so we can come to a clearer conclusion about the predictive power of ASLI. Before running the main analysis, exploratory factor analysis, EFA, was conducted to ensure the SLI scale manifests itself in the analysis, and the results suggest 1 factor solution with 3 positive and 3 negative items as expected. The screen plot is reported as well. ESCM, or exploratory structure equation modeling, was also used instead of CFA, and the results appear to be valid. Shown in this slide are the result of the structural model, the main results. I applied PLS-ECM. It is a type of structural equation modeling. It is more appropriate for causal predictive assessment. First, the model was acceptable as it produces adequate explanatory power of R squared, which is 21%. Of the variance was explained by the variables. This is what does it mean. And the out of sample predictive power, the Q square value was above 0, which means that the estimated model was successful in predicting unseen data points. Well, let's now speak of the paths or the effects. We can see that SLI at time 1 did not significantly predicted achievement at time 3. However, when considering whether the interest or the SLI is autonomous or controlled, the direction and p-value of the path will change accordingly. For example, if the SLI is autonomous, the effect becomes positive and significant. See the moderator above, here in the right side. In contrast, the effect of SLI at time 1 on the achievement at time 3 will be negative and significant if it is controlled. The interest is controlled, and the effect will be minus 0.57, which is moderate in size. Also, the effect of SLI at time 2 on achievement at time 3 is direct and positive. The effect is 0.22. And it will be higher if the SLI is autonomous. It will be 0.36. But if it is controlled, then there is no significant effect. Remember that we have accounted for achievement at time 1, meaning that these results are consistent and not affected by students' initial levels of the language proficiency, which provides stronger support for the result of the structural model. Some educational implications, such as consider whether, for example, teachers can try, ask students, try not to have multiple goals while studying in the course, making sure that the interest of their students in the language is from within, trying to minimize the external pressure to learn the language, and etc. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the topic. I will be happy to hear what you think about it. Bye.